She escaped her abusive boyfriend and boarded a plane, unaware the person beside her was a mafia boss. She fled in the dead of night, choosing the first flight to anywhere. When the plane shook with turbulence, the stranger beside her whispered, "Stay calm. You're safe with me." She thought he was being kind. She had no idea he controlled half the city they were flying toward. The mirror cracked under the force of Jenny's head hitting it. Stars exploded behind her eyes as pain bloomed across her skull. She tasted copper on her tongue, felt warmth trickling down her temple. But she refused to make a sound. Not anymore. Crying only made it worse. "You think you can ignore my calls?" Ryan's voice was ice. He stood in the bathroom doorway, his tall frame blocking any escape. His work shirt was still pressed and clean, the same shirt he'd worn to the office where everyone thought he was such a gentleman. "I called you 6 times, Jenny. 6 times." Jenny pressed her palm against the sink, steadying herself. The white porcelain was cool under her fingers. Behind her, their apartment reflected in the broken mirror, fractured into a dozen pieces. Just like her life. "I was at the store. My phone died." Liar. The word came out soft, which was somehow more terrifying than his yelling. Ryan stepped closer, and she could smell the mint gum he always chewed after lunch. "You were talking to someone, I can always tell." "I wasn't, I promise." Her voice came out small, and she hated herself for it. For 3 years she'd been shrinking, making herself smaller and quieter, trying to disappear into the walls of this apartment that felt more like a prison every day. Ryan grabbed her chin, forcing her to look at him. His blue eyes, the ones she'd once thought were beautiful, now made her stomach turn. "You're nothing without me, Jenny, you understand that? No job, no friends, no family that wants you. I'm all you have." The familiar words settled over her like a heavy blanket, suffocating and warm at the same time. She'd believed them for so long. Her parents had moved to another state 2 years ago, tired of her excuses for bruises and canceled visits. Her friends had stopped calling after she'd declined so many invitations. Ryan had made sure of that, slowly cutting every thread that connected her to the outside world until he was the only thing left. "I'm sorry," she whispered, because that's what he wanted to hear. "You're right. I should have charged my phone." Ryan studied her face, searching for something. Then he released her chin and stepped back. "Clean yourself up. You look pathetic." He walked out, leaving her alone with her broken reflection. Jenny waited until she heard the television turn on in the living room. Then she opened the medicine cabinet with shaking hands. Behind the bottle of aspirin, hidden in an old makeup bag, was her secret. $700 in cash, saved from grocery money over the past 6 months. Her driver's license, tucked inside her old college ID, and the business card for a women's shelter that someone had slipped into her hand at the pharmacy 3 weeks ago. She'd been planning this for 93 days, counting every morning when she woke up next to Ryan, every night when she pretended to be asleep while he scrolled through her phone. Tonight was supposed to be next week, when Ryan had his business trip to Miami. But as she looked at her face in the broken mirror, blood still fresh on her hairline, something inside her shifted. Not next week. Tonight. Jenny cleaned the cut on her forehead, watching herself become someone she barely recognized. The makeup she used to cover the bruise on her cheek made her look almost normal, almost like the girl she used to be, before Ryan, before she learned that love could feel like drowning. In the living room, Ryan had fallen asleep on the couch. The television cast blue light across his face, making him look younger, almost innocent. This was the man who brought her coffee in bed during their first month together, who told her she was beautiful every morning, who promised her the world and then slowly took everything instead. Jenny moved through the apartment like a ghost, grabbing only what she could fit in her purse. The money, her documents, a photo of her grandmother, the only family member who'd never given up on her. She left behind everything else, the clothes Ryan bought her, the jewelry he'd given her as apologies after bad nights, the cell phone he could track. The front door was 10 feet away, then 5. Then her hand was on the knob, slowly turning it, praying it wouldn't creak. The cool night air hit her face, tasting like freedom and terror mixed together. Behind her, Ryan shifted on the couch, and her heart stopped. But he didn't wake. Jenny ran. She ran down 3 flights of stairs, her sneakers barely making sound on the concrete. She ran past the parking lot where Ryan's car sat, past the corner store where she'd bought groceries 1,000 times, past the bus stop where she'd waited so many mornings for rides to a job she'd eventually quit because Ryan said he made enough for both of them. The city lights blurred through her tears. Her lungs burned, but she didn't stop running until she reached the train station 6 blocks away. Inside, fluorescent lights hummed overhead, and a few late-night travelers sat on benches, lost in their phones. The departure board flickered with destinations, times, prices. A train to the airport left in 12 minutes. Jenny bought a ticket with cash, her hands still shaking. The woman behind the counter barely looked at her, just slid the ticket across with a bored expression. Jenny clutched it like a lifeline, like proof that this was real, that she was actually doing this. On the train, she chose a seat far from everyone else and stared out the window at the passing darkness. Her phone, the one Ryan had given her, sat at the bottom of a trash can on the Shaw platform. By now, he might have woken up, might have found her gone, might be calling that phone over and over, listening to it ring into nothing. The thought made her want to throw up. At the airport, everything moved too fast and too slow at the same time. Security lines, boarding announcements, the smell of coffee and pretzels. Jenny stood at a monitor showing flights, watching destinations scroll past like promises. She had $700. It wasn't much, but it was enough to get far away. Her finger traced down the list. Chicago, Boston, Denver. Then she saw it. A red-eye flight to Las Vegas, boarding in 40 minutes. The ticket was $620. One way. She'd have 80 left for whatever came next. Vegas, she said to the woman at the ticket counter, sliding her license and cash across. One way, please. The woman typed rapidly, her nails clicking against the keyboard. Traveling light tonight? Jenny looked down at herself. Jeans, a t-shirt, sneakers, her purse with everything she owned in the world. Yes, very light. 25 minutes later, she sat in the waiting area near Gate B7, watching people around her. Families with tired children. Business travelers in suits, typing on laptops. An elderly couple holding hands, their wedding rings worn smooth from decades of wearing. Normal people, living normal lives, with no idea that the woman sitting 3 seats down was running for her life. Every time someone walked past, Jenny's heart jumped. She kept expecting to see Ryan's face, to hear his voice calling her name. But he didn't know about the money, didn't know she'd kept her license. He probably thought she was hiding somewhere nearby, too scared to go far. He was wrong. Here's a much shorter version. The boarding call crackled. Jenny joined the line, legs unsteady. Vegas. She'd never been there, but it was far from Ryan. She found her middle seat and buckled in, heart racing. She was really doing this. Excuse me. A deep voice. A tall man in an expensive black suit stood beside her row. I think I'm 14B. Jenny stood to let him pass. As he settled in, she caught his scent. Clean, expensive. His face was all sharp angles, like carved stone. Dark, intelligent eyes that briefly studied her. She turned to the window. As the plane lifted, she watched the lights get smaller. With each second, Ryan's grip loosened. Diego Stone had noticed her immediately. She moved like someone expecting to be hit, flinching at loud sounds, head down. Her hands shook. She was hiding something under her hair. In his line of work, reading people was survival. This woman was running. He'd taken this flight after a meeting where 3 men learned that stealing from the Stone family was a fatal mistake. Now he was heading back to Vegas, to the empire he'd inherited. Casinos, hotels, all legitimate on paper. Beneath the surface, the Stone name meant power, meant fear. But this woman made him forget about territories. She made him remember wanting to protect something fragile. 2 hours in, the plane suddenly dropped. The aircraft shuddered violently. Overhead bins rattled. Someone screamed. Jenny's hands gripped the armrests, knuckles white. Panic came fast. The same feeling when Ryan raised his voice. Her chest tightened. She couldn't breathe. "Hey." A calm voice. "Look at me." The man beside her had turned, his dark eyes steady. While everyone else panicked, he looked absolutely calm. "I can't breathe." "Yes, you can." He placed his hand on hers. "Watch me. Breathe when I breathe." She stared into his eyes as he demonstrated slow, deep breaths. His presence, unshakable even as the world rattled, cut through her panic. "Better?" he asked when the shaking stopped. She nodded, suddenly aware she was still gripping his hand. As she pulled away, his eyes caught on something. Dark purple bruises circled her wrist where her sleeve had ridden up. His expression didn't change much, but something shifted in his eyes. Recognition. And beneath that, controlled anger. "When we land," he said quietly, "stay close to me. Don't ask questions. Just trust me." "What? Why?" "Because you're running from someone, and people who leave bruises like that don't let go easily." Jenny's blood turned cold. "How did you—" "I've seen it before. Whatever you're running from, it's going to follow you. But it doesn't have to catch you." "I don't understand. You don't know me." "No. But I know what it looks like when someone's fighting to survive, and I know how to make sure they win that fight." Vegas appeared below, a sprawling sea of lights in the desert darkness. This stranger was offering protection. From someone who looked at her bruises and saw a story he recognized. She should be suspicious. But there was something different in his eyes. Where Ryan's kindness had been a mask-hiding cruelty, this stranger's calm felt like bedrock. "Okay," she said. "I'll stay close." "Good. When we land, wait for everyone else to get off first, then follow my lead." As the plane touched down, Jenny wondered what she'd just agreed to. But something in her gut said this was different. This was survival. The plane taxied to the gate, and passengers began gathering their belongings, eager to start their Vegas adventures or get home to their beds. Jenny waited, as instructed, watching the man beside her. He didn't rush, didn't even stand until the aisle was nearly empty. "Ready?" he asked, standing and offering her his hand. Jenny took it, letting him pull her to her feet. His grip was strong but gentle, and she noticed how carefully he moved, making space for her, keeping himself between her and the other passengers. They walked off the plane together, and Jenny felt the weight of entering a new city, a new life, pressing down on her shoulders. The terminal was bright and loud, slot machines dinging even at this hour, people rushing past with rolling suitcases and tired eyes. "This way," the man said, his hand resting lightly on the small of her back, guiding her through the crowd. As they walked, Jenny noticed how other travelers seemed to give them space, like people could sense something about her companion that made them step aside. They passed through baggage claim, where families reunited and drivers held signs with names written in marker. "I need to use the restroom," Jenny said, stopping. He nodded toward a sign. "I'll wait right here, don't go far." Inside the restroom, Jenny splashed cold water on her face and stared at her reflection. The bright lights showed every detail she'd been trying to hide: the bruise on her cheek, the cut on her forehead, the exhaustion in her eyes. She looked like what she was, a woman running out of options. But when she pushed open the door and stepped back into the terminal, the man was exactly where he'd said he'd be, leaning against a pillar with his hands in his pockets, scanning the crowd with sharp attention. He straightened when he saw her. "There's a car waiting outside. Come on." Jenny followed him through the sliding doors into the warm Vegas night. The desert air was different from what she was used to, dry and clean, carrying the scent of distant hotels and promises. A sleek black car waited at the curb, and a driver in a dark suit stepped out to open the door. "Mr. Stone," the driver said with a respectful nod. Then his eyes went to Jenny, curious but not unfriendly. "This is Jenny," Diego said. "She'll be staying in the city for a while." The driver's expression didn't change, but Jenny caught the slight understanding in his nod. Like this wasn't the first time his boss had brought someone unexpected into his care. Jenny slid into the leather interior, breathing in the smell of expensive cologne and power. The man, Mr. Stone apparently, settled beside her as the car pulled into traffic. "Where are we going?" she asked, finding her voice. "Somewhere safe," he replied. "Where you can rest and figure out your next move." "I don't have much money. I can't pay for—" "I'm not asking you to pay." His dark eyes met hers in the dim light of the car. "Consider it a gift. From someone who understands what it takes to start over." Jenny wanted to argue, wanted to maintain some kind of independence. But the truth was, she had $80 left, and no plan beyond getting far away. Pride was a luxury she couldn't afford. "Why are you helping me?" The question came out smaller than she intended. Diego was quiet for a long moment, watching the Vegas Strip appear in the distance, massive hotels rising from the desert like monuments to excess and second chances. "Because someone should have helped my mother when she needed it." No one did. The simple honesty of his answer hit Jenny harder than any flowery explanation would have. She understood loss, understood regret, understood the weight of chances not taken. As the car glided through the neon-lit streets, past tourists and performers and people living their temporary Vegas dreams, Jenny sat beside a man whose name commanded respect from drivers and whose presence parted crowds. She should be afraid. Every instinct screamed that she was trading one dangerous situation for another. But when Diego Stone looked at her bruises with recognition instead of blame, when he offered protection without demanding anything in return, Jenny felt something she hadn't experienced in 3 years: hope. The car wound through Vegas streets, past the famous Strip with its dancing fountains and fake Eiffel Tower, into quieter neighborhoods where money bought privacy instead of flash. They pulled up to a luxury apartment building, all glass and steel reaching toward the desert sky. Diego led her through a lobby where the night attendant nodded respectfully, into an elevator with mirrors and soft lighting. They rode to the 15th floor in silence, and Jenny watched their reflections, him tall and composed in his expensive suit, her small and disheveled in clothes she'd been wearing for 12 hours. The apartment he brought her to took her breath away. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, lights spreading out like scattered diamonds. The furniture was modern and expensive, all clean lines and neutral colors. Abstract art hung on the walls, the kind Jenny used to study in college before Ryan convinced her that art was useless. "This is too much," she said, standing in the middle of the living room. "I can't stay here." "You can, and you will." Diego walked to the kitchen, opening cabinets. "The fridge is stocked. There are clothes in the bedroom closet. Might not be your style, but they'll fit. Bathroom has everything you need." Jenny followed him, confused. "Whose apartment is this?" "Mine. One of them." He pulled out a bottle of water and handed it to her. "I own the building. This unit was for guests, but no one's used it in months." She took the water, her fingers brushing his. "You own the building." It wasn't a question, but he answered anyway. "I own several buildings in Vegas. among other things. The way he said it made Jenny realize she'd stepped into a world she didn't understand. This wasn't just a wealthy man being generous. This was power. The kind that owned buildings and had drivers waiting at midnight and made people step aside in airports. "What do you do?" she asked. "For work, I mean." Diego leaned against the kitchen counter, studying her. "My family has business interests in Vegas, hotels, casinos, real estate. We've been here for 3 generations." It was a careful answer, one that told her almost nothing while sounding complete. But Jenny was too tired to push for more. Her body ached, her head throbbed where it had hit the mirror, and the adrenaline that had carried her through the night was finally fading. "The bedroom is through there," Diego said, gesturing. "Lock the door if it makes you feel safer. But I promise you, Jenny, you're safe here. Safer than you've been in a long time." She wanted to believe him, wanted to trust that this stranger with his kind eyes and careful touch was different from Ryan. "How do I know you won't?" "Because if I wanted to hurt you, I already would have." His voice was gentle but firm. "I've had plenty of opportunity. On the plane, in the car, right now. But that's not who I am." Jenny searched his face, looking for the warning signs she'd learned to recognize with Ryan. The slight narrowing of eyes before an explosion. The tension in shoulders before violence. But all she saw in Diego Stone was patient calm, like he understood her fear and didn't take it personally. "Okay," she whispered. "Thank you. For everything. Get some rest. Tomorrow, we'll figure out what comes next." He moved toward the door, then paused. "Jenny? The man you're running from. Does he know you came to Vegas?" She shook her head. "I didn't even know until I saw the flight board. It was random." "Good. Keep it that way. Don't contact anyone from your old life. No social media, no phone calls. He'll be looking, and any connection you make gives him a thread to follow." The warning sent ice through her veins. She'd been so focused on escaping that she hadn't thought about what Ryan would do once he discovered her gone. He'd look for her, would call her friends, her family, would use every resource he had to find her. "What if he does find me?" The question came out barely above a whisper. Diego stopped at the door, his hand on the handle. When he turned back, his expression had shifted. The kindness was still there, but underneath it, Jenny saw something harder. Something that reminded her this man owned buildings and commanded respect from strangers. "Then he'll learn that some people are protected," Diego said quietly. "And that protection has a price for those who test it." He left, the door clicking shut behind him, and Jenny stood alone in the luxury apartment that belonged to a man she'd met hours ago. She walked to the windows, pressing her palm against the cool glass. Below, Vegas pulsed with life. People winning and losing, laughing and crying, making choices that would change their lives or mean nothing by morning. She'd made her choice, had run toward the unknown rather than stay in the familiar pain. And somehow, impossibly, she'd ended up here, in this beautiful cage lined with silk instead of thorns, protected by a man whose name made drivers nod and whose past held shadows he hadn't shared. Jenny touched the bruises on her wrist, feeling the tender ache. Ryan had marked her, tried to claim ownership over her body and soul. But standing here, 15 floors above the city of second chances, she felt those marks beginning to fade. Not physically, not yet. But somewhere deeper, where it mattered more. In the bedroom, she found clothes as promised, expensive brands in her size, like Diego had known exactly what she'd need. The bathroom had toiletries still in packaging, towels so soft they felt like clouds. Jenny stood under the shower for 20 minutes, washing away the fear and tears and blood from the worst night of her life. When she finally crawled into the bed, sheets cool and clean against her skin, she expected to lie awake for hours, haunted by Ryan's face, by her own choices, by the strange turn her life had taken. But exhaustion claimed her within minutes, pulling her down into dreamless sleep. She didn't hear Diego return to check the locks on her door. Didn't see him stand in the hallway for a long moment, making a silent promise that whatever was hunting her would have to go through him first. Didn't know that he'd already made calls, set protection in motion, activated a network that would watch her even when she couldn't see them. Jenny slept, safe for the first time in 3 years, while the man who'd saved her made arrangements to keep her that way. Morning light woke Jenny, streaming through windows she'd forgotten to cover. She lay still for a moment, confused by the soft sheets and the silence. Then memory crashed back. Ryan, the escape, the plane, Diego Stone. She sat up, taking in the bedroom in daylight. Elegant furniture, more abstract art, a view of mountains in the distance. This was real. She'd really done it. Jenny found her clothes from yesterday, washed and folded on a chair, along with new things, jeans in her size, t-shirts, even undergarments still wrapped in packages. She dressed quickly, aware that someone had been in the apartment while she slept, had taken care of these details without waking her. In the kitchen, she found fresh coffee in the pot, still hot. A note on expensive paper sat beside it, written in clean, precise handwriting. Help yourself to anything you need. I'll check in this afternoon. You're safe here. Monsieur Jenny poured coffee into a mug, adding cream from the well-stocked fridge. She walked to the windows, cradling the warm cup, and looked out at Vegas in daylight. The city looked different now, less glamorous, more real. She could see the desert stretching beyond the buildings, endless and open. Her phone, Ryan's phone, was gone, thrown away in another city. She had no way to call anyone, no way to check if Ryan had reported her missing, no way to know what was happening in the life she'd left behind. The isolation should have scared her. Instead, it felt like breathing room. Jenny spent the morning exploring the apartment. She found books on shelves, classics and modern novels. Found art supplies in a closet, untouched and waiting. Found a small balcony where she could sit in the desert sun and watch the city move below her. At 2 in the afternoon, a key turned in the lock. Jenny's heart jumped, old fear rising automatically. But it was Diego who entered, carrying bags from what looked like expensive stores. "You're awake," he said, setting the bags on the counter. "Did you sleep?" "Better than I have in years." Jenny stayed on the couch, maintaining distance. "Thank you for the clothes, and for washing mine. I have someone who handles those things." Diego pulled items from the bags, more clothes, toiletries, a laptop still in its box. "I thought you might need these. The laptop isn't connected to anything, but you can use it for job searching, research, whatever you need." Jenny stared at the pile of expensive items. "I can't accept all this. It's too much. Consider it an investment." Diego leaned against the counter, and Jenny noticed he'd changed into jeans and a black t-shirt. He looked younger like this, less intimidating. "You need resources to rebuild your life. I'm providing them." "Why?" The question burst out before she could stop it. "Why are you doing this for a stranger?" Diego was quiet, studying her. "My mother was like you once, trapped with my father who hurt her. She almost left, had a bag packed, money saved, but she was too scared." "What happened?" "He nearly killed her one night. That's when he finally saw what he'd become. He spent 20 years making up for it. But those years she suffered didn't have to happen." His voice was controlled. If someone had helped her earlier, maybe she wouldn't have those scars. Jenny felt tears prick her eyes. "I'm sorry." "Don't be sorry. Just accept the help. Let someone do for you what no one did for her." She understood. This was about a boy who'd watched his mother suffer and couldn't stop it. About a man rewriting history by saving someone else. "Okay. But I want to pay you back eventually." Diego smiled slightly. If it makes you feel better to think of it as a loan, fine, but I'm not keeping track. Over the next hour, Diego explained practical things: the building's gym, nearest grocery store, a car service. He gave her a new phone with his number programmed in. Don't call anyone from your old life. Any connection becomes a way for him to track you. What if Ryan files a missing person report? Let me worry about that. I have people who can handle it. What exactly is your family business? Really? Diego straightened. We own legitimate businesses, casinos, hotels, construction, everything above board. But my grandfather came to Vegas when it was nothing but dessert. He built an empire using methods that wouldn't fly today. That legacy casts a long shadow. I run things differently now. Legal, clean. But the name still carries weight from those old days. His grandfather had been mobbed up. That's why drivers nodded, why people stepped aside, why he could make problems disappear. Does that scare you? She thought about it. Ryan had scared her with his fists. Diego scared her with his power. But one had hurt her, and the other had saved her. I don't know. Maybe I'm too broken to be scared of the right things anymore. You're not broken. You're surviving. After he left, Jenny opened a job search site. Art galleries, museums, tour guide positions. With each application, she felt more real, like building a new person from broken pieces. 3 days passed. Diego stopped by daily, bringing groceries, art supplies, a sketch pad. He understood she needed space to remember who she was. On the 4th morning, her phone rang. It's Diego. Stay in the apartment today. Don't go out. Her stomach dropped. Did Ryan find me? No, but he's looking. He filed a missing person report, told police you're mentally unstable. He's calling hospitals, shelters, hired a PI. How do you know this? I have someone watching him. He doesn't know about Vegas yet, but he's persistent. So what do I do? Stay put. Let me handle this. I'm sending someone to stay in the building. After they hung up, Jenny let the fear wash over her. She'd been stupid to think running was enough. Ryan could paint her as crazy and use the system to drag her back. She pulled out her sketch pad, drew a bird in a cage, wings spread but going nowhere, then added something new, a door hanging open. The bird still inside, looking out, afraid to fly, afraid to stay. Hours passed. She drew until her fingers cramped. Diego arrived at 7. Jenny looked up from drawings scattered around the couch. You okay? I thought I was free, but I'm just in a different cage. Diego picked up her sketch. It's not trapped. The door's open. It's choosing to stay. Because it's afraid. Or being smart. Sometimes you wait for the right moment to fly. He set it down. You're not in a cage. You're in a safe house. The distinction mattered. Ryan's control was about ownership. Diego's protection was about giving her time to heal. What if he doesn't give up? Diego's expression hardened. Then he'll find more than he bargained for. I got a call back today from the Sunset Art House Gallery. They want to interview me. Diego smiled. That's you reclaiming your life. Have you eaten? I forgot. Figured. He started making pasta. Over dinner, they talked about everything. Diego mentioned his sister who died 5 years ago. Jenny told him about her grandmother, how Ryan hadn't let her go to the funeral. Diego covered her hand with his. We do what we have to do to survive. It doesn't make you weak. His touch was warm. After years of flinching from Ryan, Diego's gentle touch was teaching her that not all physical connection meant pain. At the door, Diego paused. Tony's watching the building tonight. If anything happens, call me. Okay. He studied her face. What's wrong? I keep waiting for you to turn into someone else, for this to be a trick. She forced honesty. I don't understand why you're helping me. What you want. When the bill comes due. There is no bill. Everyone wants something. Yes, I want you to be safe, to rebuild your life. And maybe, when you're ready, I want you to choose to stay in my life. Not because you need me, but because you want to. Jenny's breath caught. I can't promise that. I don't know who I am anymore. I'm not asking you to promise. I'm just being honest. He tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. His touch, featherlight. What you do with that information is up to you. That night, Jenny lay awake. Somewhere out there, Ryan was looking for her. But she wasn't alone anymore. She had Diego standing between her and the past. She had Tony watching from shadows. She had this apartment, this phone, this new life. A week passed. Jenny's gallery interview went well. She got the job. 3 days a week. Minimum wage. But it was hers. Ryan had expanded his search, hired a better PI, called everyone. But Jenny's trail ended at the airport. She'd vanished like smoke. On Sunday, Diego took her to the desert. They hiked to a viewpoint overlooking a valley of red rocks. My father brought me here after my sister died, Diego said. Told me to scream, to yell until I had nothing left. Did it help? Yeah. Made me realize my anger was nothing compared to all this. My sister was still gone, but seeing how small my pain was in this vastness helped me carry it better. Can I try? Diego smiled. That's why I brought you here. Jenny walked to the edge. The valley stretched below, empty and endless. She thought about Ryan, about 3 years of fear. Then she screamed. It started small but grew. Every swallowed word, every hidden tear, every time she'd made herself small. She screamed until her throat was raw, until nothing was left but empty space. When she stopped gasping, Diego stood beside her. Silent. Present. Better? Yeah. Better. They drove back as the sun set. Jenny laced her fingers through his. Diego held on. That night on the balcony, they shared wine. Healing isn't dramatic, Diego said. It's 1,000 small choices to keep going. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for letting me. Inside, Diego's phone buzzed. His expression hardened. Ryan booked a flight to Vegas. He lands tomorrow. Jenny's world tilted. How did he find me? His PI flagged the Vegas connection. Diego typed rapidly. We make sure he understands Vegas isn't safe for him. I don't want anyone hurt because of me. He hurt you. For years. He doesn't get to hunt you in my city. What are you going to do to him? Have a conversation. Explain you're under my protection. That leaving Vegas immediately is in his best interest. And if he's not smart? Diego's silence was answer enough. I want to be there. I need to face him. All right. My place. My people around. At noon, Diego drove her to his hotel penthouse. 4 men in dark suits waited. You can stay hidden or face him. I'll face him. At 2:30. He's here. Ryan walked in, tall, clean-cut, confident. Then he saw Jenny. Shock, then fury. Jenny, what the hell is this? She stood. Hi, Ryan. I've been so worried. Come home. No, I'm not coming home. You're confused. The doctor said. The doctor you paid for a fake evaluation? Diego interrupted. This is between me and my wife. Jenny is under my protection now. Ryan laughed nervously. What are you? A bodyguard? This man is dangerous. The gaslighting was automatic. But Jenny wasn't falling for it anymore. You broke my wrist, pushed me downstairs, locked me in for 3 days because I talked to a cashier. Hit me multiple times. Her voice grew stronger. I'm done being scared. I'm not going back. Tell the police what? That your abused wife escaped? That you filed false reports? Or should we discuss those financial discrepancies in your accounts? Diego stepped closer. Leave Vegas today. File for divorce. Or stay and learn what the stone name means here. Ryan's face cycled through rage and fear. He looked at Jenny. You're my wife. You don't just walk away. Actually, I do. Jenny stood straighter. I already have. You have no power here. Ryan moved toward her. Diego's men blocked him instantly. Leave. Now, Diego said quietly. Ryan left, escorted out. Jenny collapsed on the couch, shaking. Diego held her. He's gone. Really gone. 2 months later, Jenny had built a new life, working at an art gallery, painting, healing. Something was growing between her and Diego. Not desperate love, but something steadier. Safer. Then Detective Martinez called. Ryan had been arrested for assaulting his new girlfriend. Would Jenny give a statement? Yes, Jenny said. I'll tell you everything. She spent 2 hours recounting every detail of her abuse. When she finished, she cried. Not from sadness, but relief. Ryan was finally facing consequences, and Jenny was finally free. When Diego arrived for their usual Thursday dinner, he found her red-eyed but smiling. What happened? He asked immediately, concern flooding his face. Jenny told him about the call, about Ryan's arrest, about giving her statement. As she talked, she watched Diego's expression shift from worry to something like pride. You did that, he said when she finished. You helped stop him from hurting someone else. I should have done it years ago, should have been braver. You were surviving. That took all your strength. Diego sat beside her on the couch, close enough that their shoulders touched. You can't blame yourself for not being ready then. What matters is, you were ready now when it counted. Jenny leaned her head on his shoulder, breathing in his familiar scent. I keep waiting to feel different, like testifying would magically heal everything, but I still feel broken in some ways. Healing isn't magic. It's messy and slow, and sometimes you take steps backward. Diego's voice was soft against her hair. But Jenny, you're not the same person who got on that plane 3 months ago. You've rebuilt yourself piece by piece. That's not broken. That's extraordinary. She lifted her head to look at him, seeing the honesty in his dark eyes. They were close enough that she could count his eyelashes, see the faint scar through his eyebrow, notice the way he was carefully not moving, not pushing, letting her decide. Jenny made the decision. She closed the distance between them and kissed him. For a moment, Diego went still. Then his hand came up to cup her face, gentle and reverent, kissing her back with a tenderness that made her chest ache. It was nothing like kissing Ryan had been. There was no ownership in it, no demand, just connection. Just two broken people finding comfort in each other. When they pulled apart, Diego rested his forehead against hers. Jenny, he said quietly, I need you to be sure about this. About me. I don't want you to feel like you owe me anything. I don't. She put her hand over his heart, feeling it beat fast under her palm. I'm choosing this. Choosing you. Because you make me feel safe and seen and like maybe I'm worth something. You're worth everything. Diego's voice was fierce. Don't ever doubt that. They spent the evening on the couch, talking and kissing and learning each other in this new way. Diego told her about the parts of his life he'd kept hidden, the family business he was still trying to legitimize, the weight of a name that carried 3 generations of blood and power. Jenny told him about the girl she'd been before Ryan, the dreams she'd abandoned, the hope she was slowly rebuilding. As the city lights came on, Jenny felt something settle in her chest. Not quite peace, but maybe contentment. Maybe the beginning of joy. Stay tonight, she said as Diego prepared to leave. Not for anything more than this. Just stay. Diego searched her face. Okay. But I'm taking the couch. I want to do this right, Jenny. There's no rush. I'm not going anywhere. The respect in his words made Jenny fall a little harder. She brought him pillows and blankets. They said goodnight at the bedroom door with one more kiss. Jenny fell asleep listening to Diego settle in the living room, his presence a comfort rather than a threat. The next morning, she woke to the smell of coffee and something sweet baking. Diego was pulling cinnamon rolls from the oven. You bake? My mother's recipe. I thought you might need comfort food. They ate breakfast on the balcony. I've been thinking, Jenny said. I can't stay in this apartment forever. I need to find my own place, build something that's truly mine. Diego was quiet. Is that what you want? To move out? I want to stand on my own feet. But I also want you in my life, not as a savior, but as a partner. Someone who stands beside me, not in front of me. You want to prove you're choosing me, not just accepting help. Yes, I need to know I'm strong enough alone before I can be strong enough with someone. Then I'll help you find a place. And when you're ready, really ready, I'll still be here. Over the next month, Jenny found a small apartment. Diego helped her move, never suggesting she should stay in his nicer place. He respected her need for independence. The gallery showcase opened on a Friday night. Jenny stood among her paintings, watching strangers examine pieces she'd created from pain and hope. Diego arrived in a dark suit. When he saw her work, his expression softened into awe. These are incredible. By the end of the night, Jenny had sold 3 paintings. Catherine was already talking about a solo show. As Diego walked her home, Jenny felt the weight of how far she'd come. 5 months ago, she'd been nothing. Now she was an artist with work in a gallery, a woman with her own apartment, someone rebuilding a life from ashes. Thank you, she said at her building, for everything. You saved yourself, Jenny. I just helped clear the path. I'm so proud of you. Jenny kissed him, pouring all her gratitude and hope and growing love into it. When they broke apart, she made a decision. Come upstairs. Stay. Really stay this time. Are you sure? I've never been more sure. I'm ready to choose this. Choose you. Choose us. That night, Diego loved her with patience and gentleness and tenderness. He worshipped every scar, replacing pain with pleasure, fear with joy. When she fell asleep in his arms, safe and chosen and whole, Jenny finally understood what freedom really meant. It wasn't running away from danger. It was running toward something better. 6 months after that night on the plane, Jenny stood in the airport again. But this time, she wasn't running. She was arriving, coming back after visiting her parents. The relationship she'd thought Ryan had destroyed was slowly rebuilding. Diego waited at baggage claim. When he saw her, his face lit up. She walked straight into his arms. How was the trip? Good. Really good. I told them about you. My mom wants to meet you. Hope mixed with uncertainty in his expression. Yeah? Yeah. She said any man who'd protect her daughter and give her space to heal is worth meeting. Diego laughed. I think I can handle it. Inside her apartment, Diego pulled her close. I have something for you. He handed her a folder. Inside were divorce papers, already signed by Ryan. He agreed to everything. No contest. It's done. You're free. Jenny stared at the papers, feeling the weight of that word. Free. Really, truly free. Not running, not hiding, just free to choose her own path forward. There's something else. Diego pulled out another document. Catherine and I have been talking. She's opening a second gallery location. She wants you to manage it, develop your own artists, curate shows. It's a real salary, benefits, everything. Tears spilled down Jenny's cheeks. Diego, that's too much. You can't just... I didn't do anything except introduce 2 people who needed each other. Catherine saw your talent months ago. This is all you, Jenny. All your work, your skill, your vision. He wiped her tears gently. You did this. Jenny held the divorce papers and looked at Diego, the stranger from the plane who'd helped her escape her abusive boyfriend. I love you, she said. I choose you. I love you too, Diego replied. You're the strongest person I know. She thought about her desperate escape with only $700, about learning the difference between control and protection. Diego's danger had been for her, not against her. 1 year later, Jenny's art gallery opened with her exhibition, Flight Path. The centerpiece showed a woman walking away from flames toward distant lights, carrying only a feather. The weight of freedom. I'm proud of you, Diego whispered. I couldn't have done it without you. Yes, you could have, he said firmly. That strength was always in you. Under desert stars, Diego took her hands. I want to build a life with you, together. I want that too, Jenny said, where we choose each other every day. She'd learned that courage meant deciding freedom was worth the terror. She'd found her someone, her landing, her flight. Jenny had flown far from that broken kitchen. She was never nothing without anyone. She was always everything on her own. Diego just helped her remember. That was the difference. That was freedom.